Yes, good evening. Welcome to another daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Friday, the 27th of October 2023, the year of BSV. Buy BSV.live, the best place to buy Bitcoin SV online, the original protocol and genuine Bitcoin. Here we go. Let's get into it. Look at this first one. So, I want to thank Diego for doing an absolutely stunning job on reporting all these things. So, again, I can dish out on the channel and tell everybody else what's going on. So here he said, breaking, Craig wins again. Ira Kleiman's appeal has failed. So there will be no new Kleiman versus Wright Satoshi Coins case. US Federal Court trial dated, filed the 26th of October 2023. And here it is. This is the court order signing off on it. United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit Court. Non-argument calendar, Ira Kleiman versus Craig Wright. And it says right here, for these reasons, the estate has failed to show that the district court abused its broad discretion by denying a new trial. In sum, we affirm the district court's judgment. Affirmed. Get in there. Get in there. And here we go. Here we go. That is done and done. That's the one I wanted. There we go. We'll have some of that. Clean that shit up. Get that shit gone. Beautiful, beautiful. And this was CoinDesk desperately trying to cover up what's happened here. So listen to how they phrased this. This is outrageous. A Florida court was right to say that Dr. Wright, the self-proclaimed inventor of cryptocurrency, no, actually Bitcoin, wasn't in partnership with the late Dave Kleiman. Okay, so he wasn't in partnership with him when they mined Bitcoin together. I mean, it's so funny. Yeah. So they're right to say that they weren't in partnership when they mined it together. But they weren't together. And they weren't in partnership. So what are you talking about? Honestly, just their stinks of desperation. Because they know, as do we, they are bullshitting. This whole thing, this whole crypto malarkey is a complete scam to distract people away from the one and only way that you can commoditize data. The one and only true Bitcoin, the world's first ever commoditized data protocol. Yeah, absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. In fact, we might actually look at that just to actually see it in our own eyes. Yeah, when they mined Bitcoin together. You've literally got to laugh. That's hilarious. Right, and so moving on. So this is to do with the largest court case in financial history coming up on the 15th of January 2024. So it says here, Justin Cooper versus Wright, Mr. Justice Meller. The schedule itself, Cooper, is insufficiently precise to meet the requirements of pleading of a fraud forgery. And this is point 60 on the archives here. Following my initial indications after the short adjournment, Mr. Hoff, KC of Cooper, offered the schedule as particulars of the findings of alterations referred to in the proposed 35A. I did not and do not find this offer satisfactory precisely because the schedule itself is insufficiently precise to meet the requirements of a pleading of fraud and forgery. 61. This is an unusual case. Furthermore, it has reached an unusual stage, as I've endeavoured to explain above. Whilst Dr. Wright is correct to point out the distinction between inauthenticity and forgery, in the particular circumstances of this case for many of the documents which he has identified as reliance documents and for many of the other documents he has produced in his disclosure, I consider the distinction to be small for the following reasons. 62. First and foremost, one would expect that the most important documents, for example, drafts of the white paper, drafts of the Bitcoin software, emails and other records which clearly emanate from Satoshi, are Dr. Wright's own documents which he himself has produced on disclosure. If any alterations to the metadata have occurred through the process of disclosure, Dr. Wright should be able to explain what has happened, possibly with the aid of his expert. Otherwise, he should be able to explain all alterations, or that they have not in fact occurred, because they are his documents, which, unless he explains to the contrary, have remained under his control. Get in there. It's sounding very positive so far, but certainly not going to count my chickens, not going to count my chickens too early, about the number of eggs and all that kind of stuff. Like, whoa, let's have a quick look. Was it numbers? Well, I haven't been through all this, but let's just have a quick look just to cross-reference. 0.60. Following my initial indications after the short adjournment. Yeah, there we go. I mean, it sounds good. I'm probably going to I'll go through that myself just because I want to. Right, and this bit was quite funny. And again, I think it was Diogo that found this. So this was this is on January the 9th, 2014. And again, I can't remember when. It was in 2014 that Craig actually had a meeting with the Australian Tax Office where he admitted that he'd been mining Bitcoin since 2009. And so somebody said here, under top 4 Satoshi Nakamoto quotes of all time, from January 6th, 2014. I just spent a couple of hours reading through Satoshi's 1,000 plus posts and plucked out my 4 favourites. 1. So this is a quote. I've been working on Bitcoin's design since 2007. At some point I became convinced there was a way to do this without any trust required at all and couldn't resist to keep thinking about it. 2. Lost coins only make everyone else's coins worth slightly more. Think of it as a donation to everybody. 3. Sorry to be a wet blanket. Writing a description for Bitcoin for general audiences is bloody hard. There's nothing to relate it to. And 4. I'm sure that in 20 years there will either be very large Bitcoin transaction volume or no volume. And they've said here, Satoshi is probably a Brit. And then somebody said, yes, almost a master of tracking, covering, but cross 1,000 plus posts, maybe not, especially when focused on software crypto issues. Yes, heard it before, stop reading this then. And then down the bottom it just says, or he could be a bloody Australian. Seriously, Aussies have more a stranglehold over bloody than Brits. Bloody hell. Well, that's absolutely spot on. That is absolutely spot on. So they were finding this. Couldn't really make sense. This was dated here, 3rd of January 2009, which was when the Bitcoin network was first started. I was looking at the blocked numbers here and typed in the wallet address. Couldn't really find anything significant there. But if that was a transaction, my goodness me, that would have been before the Hal Finney transaction. That would have been massive. Massive, my goodness. So somebody else just asked me after my last video, could I cross-reference the creation of Tether with the BTC price? And I was just like, well, yeah, here we go. So again, the BTC price is on a much longer and larger timeline here. But these are the major pumps. These are the major pumps. Look at the amount of Tether gone in there. From literally, under sort of like 100,000 to 80 billion. 80 billion, but bear in mind that BTC has now got a market cap of half a trillion, which is 500 billion. But again, it's all to do with pumping the price. It's pumping it, but it's fakes like supply and demand on the market. But these are the 2 pumps. This is literally it. It was massive. So the first load going into Bitcoin, causing this first absolutely massive run up to like $70,000. Then it crashed again. It came down. Then it went back up again. Now it's come back down again. It's a complete shit show. And it's all to distract and cover up and get people's attention away from the original Bitcoin protocol design, which now has the ticker symbol BSV. It's that simple. Moving on, getting into some nefarious stuff here. I found this quite disappointing, to be honest with you, a little bit disturbing. So Shad has started off here. So he said, I'll see where it started from. He said, a few years too late, but this is a fascinating conversation. For the record, I chose the name Satoshi's Vision, which is true. To clearly distinguish it from Craig, well, I mean, Craig wants to differentiate himself from Satoshi Nakamoto anyway. If it was going to be CV, then the onus was on him to prove it was the same thing. It should have stayed Satoshi's Vision until then, but it didn't, which is one of the main causes of its downfall. I mean, talking about downfall, like, what are you talking about? The block size is absolutely massive, and also the transaction volume is just absolutely huge. Just simply look at the figures. So Armand said here, BSV definitely needs competition. Would you consider joining Attila's Radiant? Like, seriously, I mean, these people are, big names in BSV. What do you mean needs competition? What don't you understand about Bitcoin? It's a bit like saying, oh yeah, gold definitely needs competition. Gold is gold. That is just it. Like, well, how can you compete with gold? Gold is just simply gold. It is an element. Bitcoin is a commodity that economically sustains the world's first ever commodity network. There is no competition. It is a creation. It is the foundation layer of all future digital technology, secured and underpinned by economic principles. This is literally it. So, would you consider joining Attila's Radiant? Blah blah blah. And then Shadows goes on. No, if I was going to get involved in a new blockchain, which there is no point because Craig created blockchain, and blockchain is just simply the process that data goes to get uploaded onto the network. It's not really a chain. You have to look at it as a network. It would be from scratch. We have come too far to retrough the first design. I mean, how many times have I got to go over this? This is absolutely ridiculous. Data can only be commoditized one way, literally, and this is it. Structural, there has to be economic competition, proof of work. There has to be a chain of digital signatures, and there has to be a lock protocol, unbounded scale, and there has to be a fixed token supply. That is literally it. So anybody can make that, but what they can't replicate is the neutral size and growth of the network. So you're just going to produce the same thing, but with less hash rate and less neutral size and growth. Like, there is literally no point in this. I mean, it clearly shows that these guys aren't listening to my show, which, I mean, really, CoinGeeks should be covering all this, but absolutely crap at giving any information out to anyone, really. Just reporting on the usual crap, all the crypto crap that all these other shitcoiners get involved in. It's just ridiculous. And then he says that Armin went on, he goes, does this mean Satoshi's design, the original one you joined and genuinely loved, is no longer relevant? And Shadow says it no longer exists. The most poetic change is CSW adopting, decreeing, what is this? GMAX's free market model without even realising it. I mean, seriously, is he actually talking about Greg Maxwell here? This is absolutely insane if he is. And if he is, and if he's praising Greg Maxwell, this means that he's basically been a bad egg on the inside right from the start, which is really quite shocking, to be honest with you. So he said GMAX at least set reasonable parameters that gave the model a chance of working in the short term. Craig's version didn't even define the parameters or how, let's have a quick look at more of this, or how they would be set, and is the direct cause of the problems BSV has been having these past few days. Again, it's just these past few days. It will pass. I mean, this is just absolutely bonkers, but more shocking, Shadows trying to get on the side of Greg Maxwell. I mean, this is absolutely insanity. And again, when you're saying didn't define parameters, well, one of the things that it has to have is unbounded capacity. So limitations and restrictions cannot be manufactured or manipulated, and it is therefore common to everybody. That's the whole point when he's saying Craig didn't define any parameters. It can't have any parameters. It has to have an unbounded protocol, so limitations and restrictions can't be manufactured. It's that simple. This is where you have to have an understanding of economics to actually understand Bitcoin. I was genuinely quite shocked by that, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, honestly, boys, I mean, just get a grip of yourselves. There is no other way to commoditize data. Data can only be commoditized one way. That means there will be only one digital commodity. And that's actually why Craig chose the number one legacy address. There will only be one, because data can only be commoditized one way. My goodness. So, and the reason Bitcoin is so important, and the reason it's got all these, bad actors and bad eggs coming in trying to infiltrate it, and all of this, is because the central banking cartel are exceptionally powerful because they print as much currency as they want, but it's economically toxic, and they've used that to centralize everything, and bring in all sorts of crap recently. And the reason it's so important is because we either have a common money used by the people to create government that works for the people, or government will create currency to control the people. Hence the CBDCs and all this tyranny coming in us recently. So remember, this is all about the largest court case in financial history, the cabal masquerading as COPA, the Crypto Open Patent Alliance, trying to take CSW's blockchain intellectual property off him, the inventor and creator of Bitcoin. So it's COPA versus Bitcoin on the 15th of January 2024. Stay tuned, it will bring you more. And until then, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.